People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. Now, I've offered my opinions in a lot of videos, and I've offered a lot of guests their chance to have their opinions on a lot of my videos. You lot have commented, you lot have, had your own opinions amongst your own friends in relation to Thomas Partey, but the man whose opinion matters, Arteta, has finally spoken. We'll never know until 5:30 on Saturday if Partey is going to be in the squad, let alone play, which I think he will play some significance, and I think he'll be on the bench. I actually have hope that he'll start. But Arteta himself, and naturally, pardon me people, before I carry on, he's going to remain coy. We know Partey is fit. We know the club bought him within the context of after the international break we play City. We knew, we're going to need him. He's going to need time to integrate in the team, but we didn't sign him at the start of the window. We need to get with it. We knew half of this. So I can't imagine what changes. At the end of the day, he is fit. I get that he needs to adapt to the team, to learn and all of these things. I get it. He needs to earn his way in the team. As great as Partey is, every man needs to earn their stripes. I get it. But at the same time, as much as I think he needs to adapt to the team, train with his teammates and all of those things, I'm not being funny, but this isn't, this isn't Formula 1, this is football. You pass to the same players in the same shirts as you try and tackle the other ones to get, he speaks English, he speaks Spanish very well, he will fit in. Of course, the more games he plays, he'll get more up to speed, but it's football, it's not rocket science, let's be sensible a bit now. Thiago and Partey are different players. But do you not remember Klopp, forgive me if I'm wrong, he said Thiago he's trained by himself, he ain't trained with his teammates, and he played against Chelsea, and he looked good. He conceded a pen, but he looked good and you saw the quality. Again, football is a simple game. You're passing and playing with the same players in the same shirts as you and trying to harm the opposition. It's 22 players trying to put a ball over a line more than the other team, trying to put a ball in the opponent's half, trying to disallow the opponent from doing that. It's a very simple game, in relation to Partey and football. In relation to integrating him into the matchday squad, Arteta said, well, he was here just yesterday. He is getting familiar with everything around the club. Today he will have his first training session, so everything has come pretty quickly for him. We knew before we signed him that he is fit. He's very willing to start playing, and we'll see how the next few days go. And to be fair, even if he wants to play Arteta and play Partey Arteta, you're gonna play coy. It's like Pep. You're not gonna. I wouldn't want to say that that Kevin De Bruyne is fit. I would want to keep that as under wraps and keep people guessing. In the same way, if I'm Arteta, I don't want them to know if Tierney can feature with the COVID stuff in place, whether I'm gonna start Partey. I don't want that. You want to keep them guessing. It's a game of chess. But it's true everything he said there initially. He was asked on how long it takes players to adapt to the Premier League, which we all know varies. But he said, I think it is something very different depending on many factors. How they settle first of all here in the city with their family, whether they speak the language or not, whether their qualities fit the team and the Premier League straight away, or if they need some adaptation and some development in those areas. And that's true. We've seen players hit it off in the Premier League and fizzle out. Some players have taken a long time, Perez wasn't a madness straight away. Bergkamp, when he came to Arsenal, was obviously before my time slightly, but he wasn't. Thierry Henry famously took 11 or so games before he became Thierry Henry. So we have to take time. Equally, some players can hit the ground running. And I think the way Partey's been playing for Atletico Madrid and how they play, the amount of tactical knowledge and expertise he has in his brain, the amount of competence to understand several things. He's clearly played in high pressurized environments. I think he will be alright. I think he's made in the Prem. That being said, he will probably suffer a culture shock. He's played against Liverpool and done well, but he will. Every foreign player that's come to league will probably tell you about the intensity and the pace, and every game is a madness sort of thing. These things will shock him, but he will adapt to it. And even on a bad day, not that Partey's played for this team, but on a bad day, can he do much worse than some of the good days of our players? He was asked on how excited he is to have a player like Partey. He said, I've seen the buzz around the place. The fans are really happy. I've seen some positive welcome reactions after we bought him. The same with the team, the squad and the staff. I think he's a player we've had on our radar for a long time, and we've managed to bring him in, and I think he'll be a really important addition to the team. Facts. He was then further pressed on potential confidence that the signing will give to the rest of the boys. He said, I am confident in what we are doing. It is very early to say where we will be at the end of the season. A lot of things have happened to us. A lot of improvements has been made by us as a team. We know what we have to do. We know the level of the competition we are facing in this league. We're happy with the recruitment we have done in the transfer window, and now we need to get better and better every week. And that's what he said. You know, the players have got to be consistent. You know, Arteta himself, you know, he's got to improve us because, you know, as much as I think he needs better tools, you know, the question is, can we be a bit more on the front foot? Can we be a bit less predictable? You know, can we shoot more? These are all things that I'm looking at Arteta, people. And he's also said he's happy with his business. He hasn't said it's perfect, but he's happy with his business. As much as I think we should have done more for him. You know, he hasn't got nothing to complain about. He's got the tools now to do what he needs to do. And it is true, you know, as much as I think it will give confidence, Partey is one man. There's going to be times Partey is injured, suspended, just has a bad game. The other players need to pick up the slack, and pick up the stick and carry that torch. At the same time, you know, we need to stop looking, as great as Gabriel is and looks like he's going to be, stop looking at him to be the defensive messiah. We're only going to improve as a team if we improve collectively. If our first defender is our striker and our first attacker is our goalie, we can't look at Partey to be the messiah. We can't look at Gabriel. You know, we did this with Ozil, we did this with Mustafi, some man did this with Peter Cech, and you know, the mentality, the fact he's a winner, he saves you 10 points. I don't think Cech was as bad as people make out when he signed for this club, but equally there was no structure sort of thing to even give him half a chance. So we need to stop looking at one man and start looking at them as pieces to the jigsaw. He was asked on how Partey settled into the squad. He said, very good. He hasn't trained with us yet. He'll have his first training session today. I thought he trained yesterday, that's what some people said on Twitter, but today is Thursday. But he's got to know some of his teammates, not all of them, because some are still on international duty. But we will have everyone back today, and it will be a good day for him to get to know everybody. He was then further pressed on, did he have any potential doubts about Partey? He said, yes. At the last minute, it's always a risk. A lot of things have to happen at the same time. And obviously, there's a lot of paperwork to do. It was a challenge to do it in 24 hours. But I'm really happy because we managed it. And he can't, you know, I can't complain. I'm happy at the signing of Partey. And I would have doubts as to, you're always going to be nervous on deadline day if it's going to get done, people. He was then asked on if Atletico would be annoyed. And remember, they might potentially want to buy Torreira. He said, I don't know. Obviously, when you have a release clause in your contract, you assume that the situation could arise at any moment. When the market is open, it is completely legal to do it. We have had some communication with them prior to that as well, so hopefully they can respect that action. And we owe Atletico Madrid nothing. He's got a release clause, pay it and keep it moving. Of course, if we ever want a player from them or they ever want a player, it complicates things. And also Torreira, if he's going to stay there, how is negotiations going to work? He was then inevitably asked how Partey versus Kevin De Bruyne could play out on Saturday. He said, let's see. He needs to do a training session today first. We'll see how he goes in the next 48 hours. Then we'll make a decision as to whether he plays or not. So I want to see Thomas Partey, but let's just call and take time, like Arteta says, and see what happens, people. Is there anything else? He also spoke on knowing Pep Guardiola tactically better than anyone else. He said, I don't know about better. I know him very well because we worked together for 4 years very closely. We both know how we think and the situations that can be made. But after it is to try to prevent them or execute the football on the pitch when everything is going 100 miles per hour, which is very difficult and much more difficult than on tactics boards. And you know, I can't add on to anything he said there, people, really and truly. He also spoke on the positives of beating Sheffield United ahead of facing Man City. He said, I think it will be a completely different game. City's approach when they play us will be very different to Sheffield United's. Very different demands for what we have to do with and without the ball as well. I'm really happy with the way we've managed to win the game and how patient we were and the improvements compared with last year against this type of opposition. But again, we know the level of difficulty at Manchester City will be on another level. He was asked on the start of Manchester City season. He said they are still producing incredible numbers in everything that they are doing. In my opinion, they have been really unlucky with some of the results they've got because they should have put the game to bed very early. Leeds and Leicester City, in my opinion, he's alluding to. And then the level of efficiency of the opponents when they've had half chances have published them a lot. I think the editor meant to say punish, but it does say published on Arsenal's website. Published them a lot. But I haven't seen any decrease in level of the way they are playing, in what they are producing game by game. I haven't seen any of that. He's obviously going to be generous to his former employees, to his former pals and whatnot. But he is right, you know, I disagree a lot, you know. They have been off the pace. There has been question marks. concentration levels with a number of those defenders due to the errors that are happening are concerning. But he's right, and that's City's fault. That's City's fault. And Pep's probably banging that to them against Arsenal. Take your chances, take your chances. They should have put they had Leeds pressured for a good moment of that second half. But first half, sorry. But after the second half, it was a different animal. Leicester soaked up the pressure, and there were heart and mouth moments for both teams. But when Leicester clocks, you know what, they're not taking their chances. We got good teams, we can hit them on the counter. They put them to the sword. And again, individual errors were more relevant in that game because of the amount of penalties and whatnot, and Leeds only drew. But these sort of things, that's 4 points dropped in those two games because of City. City should have put the game to bed in the first 10 minutes. But that's what football's about, really. And that's something we've got to be wary of. But let's see what happens, man. Hopefully Partey plays. I can't disagree with a word of what Arteta said. And yeah, man, we've got a lot of improvements to make this season, and it's our second real big test of the season. Can we go into this game and get something positive? We'll know come evening time Saturday. But for now, people, make sure you comment, make sure you hit the subscription button. Most importantly, please make sure you hit the like button. Let's try and score up in the YouTube searches and whatnot. In fact, more importantly than that, as usual, please stay safe. Want to extend the same to your family. And yeah, may the best team win. But for now, nothing more to add, people. DG.